Hello and welcome to another episode of the LendAPI Partner Podcast. Today, my guest is Rick Haskell, who is founder and CEO of Lendisoft. Rick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, Rick, tell us, how did Lendisoft get started?
Well, it was one of those career journeys that, the idea was born out of pain and, the light bulb pops on and you see this opportunity and this gap in the market. So essentially I worked for 24 years in a large subprime auto platform, and I was responsible for risk management. And also I ran the homegrown software team. So as you might imagine, 20 plus years, I was doing a lot of building and designing of the work screens and the operations and a lot of this kind of stuff. Long story short, when I left that company about 7 or so years ago, I got into consulting, and I actually worked for a small stint, a very small competitor that was using a SaaS solution. And it was my opportunity to really see for the first time what was available in the SaaS market, for these types of tools and LOS, LMS, loan management, that kind of thing. Anyway, my eyes were open and I went, wow, the type of homegrown stuff that we had developed for so many years was giving my employer huge competitive advantage. And it was largely missing in the SaaS market. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and build a software company. And that's how it started.
So actually from pain is where a lot of gems come. Like a lot of things come from you realizing that something isn't there and then saying, hey, I'm going to do it myself. And then start the business. That's usually the best way to do it. Now, what is the number one use case that you solve for your customers?
Well, for large enterprise lenders, really, I'd say the main use case is efficiencies, using AI, automation. A lot of lenders, especially the larger enterprise ones, they know how to build scoring models, machine learning models. But how do you bridge the gap between, okay, I've got this predictor of likelihood of default, for example, but how do you incorporate that into the operational process? And so Lendisoft really spent a lot on what I call a process-driven design. So the actual workflow that the agents go through to originate a loan, it makes strategic use of risk grades and we have a lot of fancy things that can help a lender, like take the highest risk loans and assign them to their top agents, or they can strategize with calling strategies that are more aggressive with the toughest accounts and make great use of efficiencies. It's really about collecting the most dollars from your past due accounts with the fewest staff is really what the drive is. For smaller lenders, it's really gives them the ability to kind of function like a large enterprise lender in a nice little package that's drag and drop, no code, low code solution. And of course, they get all the consulting and configuration. I think one of the big stories was with the small lender that I worked for. They were using a big platform, but it was never really fully configured for them. And they didn't have the expertise to really build out the configuration. So one thing with Lendisoft that I promised was I'm going to really help these small to mid-sized lenders function like the big lenders, because you're going to get this great software, but you're also going to get the configuration so that you can really compete.
That is very, very powerful, especially this no code, low code. That is something that we're starting to see more and more in the market, where business executives can actually configure a solution without having to go through 3 layers of writing requirements and then actually having software developers code it up. They can actually drag and drop and actually create the business process that they want. And I think that is obviously very powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah, not handing it to an IT staff or a risk staff, but actually your business executive team can actually get in there and configure and be nimble and evolve the operation as you go. So that's really the drive. And I know companies are hungry for that.
Right. And to your point, even smaller players that might not have had the budget to have a whole host of developers to actually create things can now do this on your platform and compete with the bigger guys.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it's a love for the industry is a lot of the drive there, and helping these small. There's so many small lenders, especially from a risk management standpoint. They come into the market, they try to grow a portfolio without really having the right experience and guidance, and then before you know it, the portfolio is underperforming. They lose their line of credit, and it's it's to what could have been a this great platform. So helping them with the configuration and the expertise, giving them a tool that's wide open but configured properly is really the goal.
Now, tell me what is your favorite customer story?
Oh, one of our clients is the captive arm of a large contracting company that has like tractors and dump trucks and cranes and all of this.
Mm, okay.
And when I first was introduced to them and finding out what they were going through to manage their loan portfolio, they were literally doing this on spreadsheets. And, two or three staff members just trying to survive, keeping everything up to date. They were introduced to us. They loved what they saw. We brought them on board. And following all that, we talked to the head person over there, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with myself nowadays. I mean, Lendisoft is so automated. It's doing everything for us. And gone are the days, of spreadsheets and all that manual work. So it's a pleasure. But that's one of my favorite stories, is just seeing the transformation for what was seemingly like a mid-size lender still functioning, in these antiquated ways. But they're out there.
That is quite amazing to see how some people still work in spreadsheets and some duct tape and paper clips to keep things going, and then actually giving them a real platform where everything can be done. Like you said, they're actually saying, hey, what do I do with myself if I don't have to go into spreadsheets? I can now actually make higher level decisions, which that is super powerful. And that's a great compliment from your customer. Now that's probably also a good point to wrap this up on. Thank you very much, Rick, for being on the podcast.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And until the next episode of the LendAPI Partner Podcast.